the closer dead zone. This video is probably going to be one of the most important videos that you will have seen from me as a high ticket closer who truly wants to make more money. So let me give you some context as to where this has come from. We run, my business partner and underground mentor and I, the Unicorn Closer Mastermind, which is very specifically for the 0.00001% of closers. In other words, it is not for the 99.9999% of closers. And I was thinking about all of the wins that are inside the Unicorn Closer Mastermind. Personal wins, professional wins, lifestyle wins. Guys and girls making more money than they've ever made before, moving to a new country, having children, having the money to be able to retire their wife so that the wife can look after the children at home. And guys and girls just buying things and living a life that, in my mind, I can't quite fathom why every other closer doesn't want to live life like that. And then it dawned on me, oh, they're in the dead zone. All of these other closers that are not inside a mastermind or a private community that is based on excellence, based on consistently raising the bar, are in the dead zone. And so this isn't about you not being in our mastermind or being in our community. This is about, are you actually, as a high tier closer, earning the money that would allow you to accomplish your wildest dreams? And if you're watching this video, the answer is probably not. So I'm going to break down for you why you are in the dead zone and how to get out of the dead zone, which is ultimately, how do you go from a place where you're not making the money that you truly could be making that would allow you to live the life of your wildest dreams, and how you can get to the place where that is actually happening. So let's jump in. The dead zone. I want you to imagine archetypally, which means in principle or metaphorically, that there are three different places that you can be in life as far as how you're showing up, your energy, your vibration. And don't worry, this is not going to get super woo-woo about vibration and frequency. This is literally how to make more money and why you're currently not making more money as a high-ticket closer. So we're not talking about literally where you are. Are you on the beach or are you in the city? We're talking about as a character, where are you? And there's three different places that you can be. And so I'm going to break this down for you as a story that's going to show you why you got to the place that you've gotten to already as a high-ticket closer, but why you're not getting any further. Okay, so place number one. You were working a job that wasn't satisfying you. Maybe it was the money. Maybe it was the job environment, working in an office, having to wear a suit and tie. Maybe it was the type of work that you were doing. You were just bored out of your mind. And because of a number of those different things, maybe one, maybe a number of those, lack of finances, lack of freedom, lack of fulfillment, you got to a point because of your external environment being so weighted on top of you that you had to break free. You were so fed up of not having the money that would allow you to buy some nice things. You were so fed up of answering to a dickhead boss that you didn't respect. You were so fed up of having to go into an office and be like a little rat in your cubicle and just feeling like a cog in the machine that had no significance. And so your external environment was weighing down on you. Key thing, external environment. Also, it wasn't something that you consciously wanted to happen. You weren't like, you know what? It'd be really good if my outside environment was so frustrating that I decided I have enough motivation to do something about it. It just happened. It just happened subconsciously. It happened not in an active fashion. You weren't proactively looking to get out of your environment. You were just in an environment that just was so debilitating, okay? And so in that place, you decided, and kudos to you, because there are some people that are in that place that's also debilitating, although I would argue it wasn't as bad as you personally were feeling the experience. Otherwise, they also would have done something about it. But ultimately, you got to a point where you took action and you did something to get out of your environment, okay? You probably bought a training program and you put in time, you put in money, and you got the training that you needed, which is getting a mentor, getting someone that's already accomplished something you want, which is a high value skill that could make you more money, that could give you more freedom, that could give you more fulfillment. So you put in time, you put in effort, and you got external training from a guide or a mentor. And lo and behold, you got to a point where you made enough money, or you realized you were going to make enough money from high ticket closing, that you got out of that situation. And ultimately, and this is the kicker, all of the things that were frustrating you to push you into action and a serious level of commitment and a serious level of action, boom, they disappeared. Make sense? You got to a point where you had the money to be able to buy the nice things that you previously couldn't buy. You had the freedom that you didn't have to go to an office. You could go on a plane and sit on the beach and take high ticket sales calls. Boom. You're not in that shitty environment anymore. You were not necessarily answering to a boss in the standard regard of a 9 to 5. Boom. You don't have that external stimulus. And so can you see the conundrum? You're now in the second place, which is, oh, wow, I've accomplished everything that I wanted to get out of. I've accomplished solving the problems that I were in. Key point, the problems that were not proactive problems that you chose to put yourself in so you would all of a sudden have the motivation. They were just your life. Your life was shit, quite frankly. So was mine. I was in the same position as you. So you've gone from place one, which is external environment, pissing you off, motivating you to do something about it, to a place where you don't have that external environment and you're now in the dead zone. The dead zone being the money that you're coming in is not balanced by a necessity to make more money. Keyword, necessity. Commitment comes from necessity. So you're in this dead zone. And ironically, because you're in a dead zone where your motivation and your commitment isn't there, there's a high likelihood that whatever your peak was in financial commissions and earnings in the beginning of your high ticket sales career, you probably were not figuring it out, and then boom, you had like a peak period. It's quite likely, because I've seen it so many times of high ticket closers that I've trained, that it actually went backwards. And it went backwards because as you started to resolve or to relieve yourself from all of those things that you didn't want to be in your previous situation, you're now in this situation where you're like, oh, you know what? I don't really have to try so hard or do more training or show up in the right way. In other words, the activities that got you into the place where you'd resolved the old things that you wanted to resolve, you stop doing those activities or do less of them or put less intensity into them, okay? So you're now in this dead zone. Now, why is it the dead zone? Why is the first position not the dead zone? So, oh, it was such a shit life. Surely that's the dead zone. Well, it's not dead because even though your environment was dead and debilitating, the frustration of that environment was bringing you energy. It was bubbling under the surface. You had this, fuck, I want to do something about this. So it wasn't actually dead. Where you're at now is actually worse than where you were before. Because where you were before, your external environment was going to push you to be more, to do more, and to become more. The environment you're in now, although you might be sitting there with your legs up on the balcony, looking out, wherever you are, thinking, oh, this is so much nicer than where I used to live. There's no force inside of you. There's no desire. Napoleon Hill, in his book, Law of Success and Think and Grow Rich, says the number one thing before you can accomplish anything is a burning desire. Not a desire, a burning desire. But he doesn't differentiate what I'm about to differentiate for you, which is there's two types of burning desire. We've broken down burning desire number one, which is your external environment is such a shithole that the burning desire is, I don't want to be in this shithole anymore. But remember, it wasn't a conscious decision. wasn't something that you sat there and thought about, which we're going to get into in a minute. What could my life actually look like? You just were pissed off with that situation. And so you had the external motivation. In other words, someone came to save you. You know the old phrase, oh, no one's coming to save you. Well, not in the dead zone, which we'll get to, but in your old situation, yeah, your environment was coming to save you. Your environment being so bad, wearing down on you, came to save you from that environment, okay? Now you're in the dead zone. Can you see the predicament? You've accomplished what you wanted to accomplish. Your life ain't that bad anymore. So you don't have any burning desire from the external environment to get better, okay? This is where 100% of closers get to after they've got into high-ticket closing and they've done enough training to accomplish relieving themselves from their other situation. But 0.00001% get out of this dead zone. So how do you get out of the dead zone? How do all of the closers that are inside of the Unicorn Closer Mastermind, how did they get out of the dead zone so that now they're not making $10,000 a month or $12,000 or $15,000? And by the way, the amount of money is different for everyone. I'll go back a sec and break that down in a minute. How are they making $35,000 a month, $62,000 a month, $85,000 a month? How did I get to a place where I was making $100,000 a month? I will tell you, none of those closers, nor I, got to that place because our external environment was annoying us just like it annoyed all of us when we got into high-tier closing. That is not going to get you out of the dead zone and get you to a place where you are a money printer and you're just raining money to the point where you're like, you know what, struggling to actually think of how I could spend all of this money. And I joke, but that should actually be the position you're in. Whereas wherever you're at when you're in the dead zone, it's enough to have leveled up your life, but you're still having to pick and choose. It's like, do I fly business class or do I put some money down for a deposit for property? No. You want to be in a place where it's like this and this and this and. I want all of it. That should be your life. I want to give $10,000 a month to my parents and put $20,000 a month down onto another rental property for my real estate portfolio. And I want to buy, well, I was going to pick up my pen, but these are glasses that are like $2,000 pair of sunglasses. This was what I was going to pick up, $3,000 pen. It's not each month a watch that's probably more than your car. It's not each month, which one thing can I buy? It's every month, I want all of it. And that might sound egotistical, but so what? You're not hurting anybody. In fact, you becoming the best version of yourself so you are a master closer helps more people on the phones compared to you not getting out of the dead zone because you don't have motivation to and letting prospects down because you're like, I've accomplished everything I wanted to accomplish. This is also why closers get into ruts. They get into sales slumps. Not because they just forgot their sales skills or bad leads. No. You got into a rut because the drive, the burning desire that you had before to accomplish something, which was relief from your old situation, is now gone. Okay? So I said I was going to say it's a different amount of money. The amount of money that gets you into the dead zone is different for every closer because it's the amount of money that relieves you from your old life that you didn't want to live. For some closers, they were making $5,000 a month in a 9-to-5, and when they make $5,000 a month, same amount, in high-ticket closing, that's enough for them. They're like, brilliant. I don't have to answer to a stupid boss, don't have to sit in a cubicle, don't have to wear a shirt and tie. I can take my calls from Thailand, whatever it is you want. For them, it might be $5,000. For you, it might have been, you know what, I want to get my first property. I want to get on the property ladder. It might have been, I need to hit $15,000, $20,000 a month to get a deposit down and feel comfortable to do that. That might be your number. So it's not a number, but it's whatever number you've hit where you've become stagnant. And actually, as I said, you've probably gone backwards a little bit to your peak number. Okay, so now let's get into how you get out of the dead zone. But before I do this, do you understand the severity of you being in the dead zone? We'll park for a second the severity of all of the names of the prospects that you're going to continue to let down because you're not getting any better at closing, that should wear on your conscience enough. But let's just for now focus on how debilitating it is and severe it is, the consequence of being in the dead zone, because what is your most precious asset? Time. Why is time your most precious asset? Because it has an opportunity cost. Meaning, if last month you made $10,000 and you spent that $10,000, what was the opportunity cost if instead of making $10,000, you'd have made $40,000? What did you lose over the last 30 days that you could have acquired, that you could have experienced, that you could have even become by becoming someone that can garner and earn that amount of money by not having earned that extra $30,000? What were the consequences? You probably haven't thought about it, and this is why you're in the dead zone, because in the dead zone, you have to actively think about it. That is what this video is for. I want to show you so I can absolve you from ignorance. You have to fucking think for yourself. Before, you were a 9-to-5 little bitch. You didn't think for yourself. You're just like, oh my God, this sucks. I fucking hate this. And you did something about it, which, again, I'll give you a little bit of credit that you did something about it. But quite frankly, anybody can fucking be in a debilitating situation that they absolutely hate and say, you know what, I'm going to get out of this, okay? Superheroes, champions, legends, the top 0.00001% do what I'm about to explain next and get out of the dead zone and get to the next level, which is the real game, the real levels to the game. So, you're in this position because you haven't thought about the cost, the severity. How much money have you not given to your parents over the last 6 months? Because you were content with $20,000 a month in commission or $5,000. You were content with not working a 9-to-5 in an office and taking some calls on a beach and making $5K. Well, good for you. But how selfish of you when you've got parents that probably bent over backwards to put you in a position that you're in now where you can live life and you aren't giving them $10,000 a month. Whatever it is, there is opportunity costs that you haven't really thought about because you haven't leveled up from the type of person that gets out of horrible situation into the dead zone and leveled up to become the type of person that uses what's called active imagination. In other words, thinking for yourself, what could life be like? And therefore, what are the costs that I'm not living life like that? That is something where you have to become a different version of yourself, which is a proactive person. That's the difference between legends. Legends aren't the people that go, oh, I don't really like the way the game's played, so I guess I'll just do something about it. No, they're the ones that like, what could the game be like? Like, could I do this? Could this happen? Could it be like this? Could I, like Michael Jordan, could I jump from the fucking halfway line and dunk a basketball? He wasn't playing the game and going, oh, you know what, I'm kind of a bit fed up of just doing these normal layups. People just keep getting in my way, so I'll just jump from a little bit further back. No, he was like, what's possible? What's fucking possible? Even what isn't possible right now, but I could make it possible. That creative thinking, that active imagination, that proactive desire to not be only willing to get out of a bad situation, but to be thinking of the projection of what could be, that is what makes the top 0.00001%. Everyone inside the Unicorn Closer Mastermind joined the Unicorn Closer Mastermind when, for the most part, they'd already got out of the shit situation they wanted to get out of. And they were at a place where they were like, you know what, I'm seeing this guy who made $100,000 a month in commission, or maybe they're looking around their life and thinking, you know what, I'd really love that house, or I'd really love to travel on a private jet. I'd really love this. I'd really love to give money to my parents. They are actively imagining. You are not actively imagining if you are in the dead zone where whatever the amount of money you're making in commissions has become stagnant and isn't rapidly growing and progressing every single month. So, to conclude this out, can you see the three different positions? Position one, external environment is weighing down on you without you needing to think about it, without you having to do any work. Your environment just sucks. And that external motivation, that external, pressure gets you to a place where you're like, boom, enough of this. I'm going to take action. I'm going to do something about it. I'm going to put in more time, put in more effort, and get a mentor. Get a mentor that can train me to get to the next level out of a 9 to 5 and learn a high value skill. Okay, you need all three of those things. Time, effort, and training from a mentor. Someone that's already accomplished what you want to accomplish, because you just don't know what you don't know. Okay? And you were in that position without really needing to think about it. This is the key. I'll keep harping on about it. And you got out of that situation. In the dead zone, you don't have any external motivation. You accomplished the little small boy and girl goals that you already had. No, I don't want to work in a cubicle. Wow, okay, well done. You don't work in a cubicle. Is that it? Is that what you're put on the planet for? To just not work in a cubicle? To just make $15,000 a month, buy yourself your first little rollie for fucking 10K? Oh, I've made it. No, you haven't made it. In fact, you haven't even begun if you want to play the game of a legend. You haven't even begun. You've just done what a large number of people do. They might not all get into high-ticket closing, guys, but think about it. You sell a high-ticket program, an e-com thing, a fitness thing, a crypto thing, a dating thing, a get into high-ticket closer sales training. Those are all of your leads that become clients, which probably would be all of the leads if you're a better closer. All of those people have done the same thing that you did. They had an external environment that sucked, and they're like, you know what, I want to do something about it. That's it. It's not a big accomplishment, okay? Real champions are when everything's fine and dandy, and it's like, wow, things are actually good. Things are pretty good. But you're like, what more could it be? What more could I do? What more could I have? Who more could I become? That's the 0.00001%, because it's no longer passive, it's active. It's not passive, oh, my environment sucks. It's active. My environment doesn't suck. I don't have anything that sucks in my environment, but that doesn't mean I'm living my best life, and it definitely doesn't mean I've become my best self. So if you're in the dead zone, which you'll know you're in the dead zone because you'll feel it, and your bank account will show you. Your bank account isn't rapidly increasing every single month. And you'll feel it. You'll feel like, you know, I got into this high-ticket closer thing and things are definitely good. Things are much better than they used to be. I'm making 15 grand a month, but you'll be like, this it's not enough. Like, this doesn't feel the way it felt when I got into high-ticket closing and had my first results. You remember those first couple months of like, holy shit, I've gone from making 3 grand a month to 15 grand a month, or 3 grand to 10 grand a month, but working from home, working for yourself. That, you remember that feeling. Are you still feeling that when you get paid your monthly commissions? If the answer is no, it's because you're in the dead zone. It's because that money doesn't mean anything to you anymore. Even if it's 15 grand a month, 20 grand a month, it's like, well, fuck am I going to do with it? You shouldn't have a problem thinking, what the fuck am I going to do with 15 grand? You shouldn't even have a problem thinking, what the fuck am I going to do with 100 grand a month? You should be like, I've spent it all in my mind. I need to make more. And if you don't have that active imagination, that is the sole reason as a high-ticket closer, you are not making more money in commissions because you're in the dead zone. You have lost the external environment giving you a burning problem, which is the fundamental foundational thing. It's what we teach our prospects on a sales call. What's the real pain and the problem? Why you need to do this? Almost every prospect has pain and a problem, and you dig and you dig and you get into it, and then they're like, oh my God, my life's so bad, I have to do something about it. How do you sell someone that doesn't have pain or problem? You already know the answer to that, guys. You don't. So how the fuck are you going to sell yourself on the idea of making more money if you haven't consciously, proactively taken the time to actively imagine what life could look like for you, and therefore what it doesn't look like for you, the consequences, because you don't have more money. In other words, you don't have inherent pain and problem anymore. But that doesn't mean you can't be so much more and living such an incredibly more... I can't even put into words what it feels like to go into a shop and spend a fuck ton of money on a watch and be like, oh, wow, that was pretty fucking badass. I have a watch that 0.00001% of people have. To fly on a private jet. To be able to travel business class or first class whenever you want. To be able to give $15,000, more than that, $20,000, $5,000 to your family in 6 months to just help them out with life. I can't tell you what that feels like because you won't know until you feel it. But I want you to feel it. And you will not feel it if you don't understand what I'm saying in this video and choose to do something about it. I can't do it for you. Your environment isn't going to do it for you anymore. That's the point. That's the point that I want you to understand. Your environment ain't coming to save you anymore. I can't come and save you. Once you've decided, okay, I know what it's costing me to not be better at sales, then that's when the time that you need to put in, the effort you need to put in, and the mentor and the training, that's when that begins. That's when I can help you. That's when I can help you. But you have to get yourself into as much pain and problem, like on a sales call of a prospect, to not be having the better life that you could be having as your prospects feel when you get them into pain and problem about their shit environment, which was the shit environment that I was in, you were in, before you got into high-tech sales. If you can't get that same level of intensity, no sale, unsell. Hey, based on what you shared with me, we just don't have alignment. We don't have alignment to bring you into the Unicorn Closer Mastermind for the top 0.0001% of closers. Because anybody that we would consider bringing into the Unicorn Closer Mastermind, they're in a position with their life and all the things that they could be having, could be living, could be experiencing, that they're not living, experiencing for themselves, for their friends, for their family, where they are so sick and tired, so done with being in that situation that they'll do whatever it takes. And based on what I'm hearing from you, John, Mary, closer's name, I'm just not hearing those things. I am not hearing that same level of necessity to get to the next level. And so based on that, we're not a fit. That's what I'd fucking say if I was on the phone with you on a sales call. Hence, we don't do sales calls to join the mastermind. This is why. Because it's your job. It's not my job to get you into pain about the fact that whatever amount of money you're making now got you out of your old life, but it's not going to get you to your ultimate dream reality. It's not my job to sit there on a sales call, which is why we don't do sales calls for the mastermind. It's your job to take your own hero's journey, your own heroine's journey. And if you look at the hero's journey, which is a circle, the first part of the hero's journey is a need, a burning desire, a burning problem. You've already been one lap around the hero's journey, which was, I need to get out of my environment. And you've gone all the way back to the top. That's why it's a circle, completion. How long are you going to stay at the top of the circle, not making any more progress before this time around, much harder, higher level, you have to actively, consciously decide to actively imagine all the life that you are not living. And time's ticking as well, by the way. Time is ticking. Time goes by real fucking quick, I'll tell you that. If you can't actively imagine that, I wouldn't be able to close you on a sales call because I can't make you want it. I can't make you need it. That has to come from you. And if you're sitting there waiting for the Tinkerbell to come along, which was your external environment in the past, it's like, hey man, this is pretty shit. You're going to do something about it? This time around, there ain't no Tinkerbell. There ain't no magic fucking tooth fairy that's coming to save you. You will stay in the dead zone indefinitely because you've relieved yourself from the old environment that was shit unless, if you decide, you know what? I want to think about all the things that my life could be like. The people I can help, my friends, my family, people I can inspire, the 3 houses that I could own, the fucking $3,000 pen that I can own. And by the way, here's a key thing. I don't need it. I don't need that. All right. One part of it is the selfish side of, well, maybe you don't need it, but what about your family? Do they need it? Well, if you don't give a fuck about your family, then piss off. Can't fix that. Second part is, it's not about needing the pen or the expensive watch. It's about why fucking not? You've got one lap around the universe. One lap. And that's it. Whether you believe in reincarnation or what, that's another story. But you got one go, guys and gals. One shot. Make the fucking most of it. But you'll be stuck in the dead zone if you have these stupid beliefs that say, oh, I don't really need a $3,000 pen. Trust me, you don't think you need it until you've written with one, and then you're like, man, I would never write with anything less than this. And why not? It's life experience, guys. That's what life's all about. Living the fullest, the richest life that you possibly can. Don't be one of those moral fucking warriors. What do they call it? Like a moral superiority. Like, oh, I'm better than you because I don't need to make more money and spend it on a pen. You're not better. You're a fucking loser. You're a fucking loser because at the end of your life, you never became the best version of yourself. Forget the pen. You never became what you were capable of. You never reached and realized your full potential. And you won't unless you can actively imagine all the crazy things you don't need that you could have, the money you could give, the life you could live. If you don't consciously, actively imagine that, you will stay in the dead zone forever. So I hope you now understand the 3 stages. Previously, external environment, it motivated you for you. You didn't have to do fucking anything. Second stage, you got yourself out of the external environment. Whip-de-doo. Brilliant. Your life's better. You don't have the external negatives that you have. But as the external negatives came down, so did the external drive that those negatives were creating. And you're going to be imagine, like 2 bar charts. You're now at 0. This is like a line that represents energy, like force, drive, push. Those above 0 now. Hence you're in the dead zone. There's no drive inside of you. And it's a different game at the next level. It's not, oh, well, should I put myself back in an environment which sucks so then it motivates myself? No, don't do that. But realize that your environment will always be your environment now unless you actively imagine a better one. I think this is the most important video I've filmed to date, and I think it will probably stay one of the most important videos because the dead zone kills people's potential. It kills your potential because it's just such a deceptive place. There's no deception that your old environment was shit, but now you're like, oh, things are fine. Things are okay. It's deceptive though, because you shouldn't be looking at your life across time and thinking, where do I stand as far as how good or bad my life is? You should be looking at your life over time and saying, every 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, 12 months, how rapidly, how phenomenally have I changed my life? If your life, since you hit your peak commissions in closing 3 months ago, 6 months ago, 12 months ago, is the same life that you're living now, you haven't progressed. But the deceptiveness of it is, well, I'm still making $5,000 a month working from home. I'm still making $15,000 a month. It's fucking loads of money compared to my $2,000-3,000 I used to make. But that's not how you should measure your life. You should measure your life based on how close am I to realizing my full potential and how much progress am I making and how much is my life changing over time. I want to see you have that experience. If you get to the point where you are looking yourself in the mirror and going, you know what, I am in the dead zone. Fuck this. My life can be so much more. I can be so much more. And you independently make the decision of what is all the things that I'm missing in terms of my life experiences because I am in the dead zone. I haven't even sat down and proactively, consciously taken the time to think about those things. If you do think about that right now and you go, you know what, I'm going to do it. I'm going to fucking do it. I'm going to become my best version of myself and live the life of my wildest dreams. And you then are willing to put in the time to turn that potential into reality. You're willing to put in the massive action that it takes to turn that potential into reality. And you know that you need training from a mentor that can show you, okay, this is what you actually need to do to get to the next level. Then I'll look forward to seeing you on the inside of the Unicorn Closer Mastermind, which is specifically built for the select few, the very small 0.0001% of closers who without mummy and daddy coming to save them or their shit environment, they decide. They are independent individuals that chose for themselves, I want to go on another hero's journey. And I want to go on the best fucking one yet. I want to go on the biggest hero's journey I've ever been on, because this one wasn't about leaving the shit life behind. This was about, how can I become my best life? If that's something that you decide, you know where the place is for the 0.0001%. I'll see you soon.